Hello, Craig.
Hello, Colin.
So, there's this new movie that came out, and it's notoriously bad. Everyone has memed about it, talked about it. It's The War of the Worlds with Ice Cube, where he sits in a computer screen and he mildly reacts to everything. So we're not going to talk about that because, in our eyes, what can we really say that's different or new? Everyone's making fun of it, rightfully so, and we can only say it's bad so many times. So I don't think we'll ever cover that. I haven't even seen it.
To be honest, I have no desire to see it either.
I
It
just
looks,
see the
everyone knows it's
reactions
bad.
of him just staring at a computer screen. You know the Ice Cube reaction. Some of his lip is up and his eyebrows up. He's like, "What?" We're never going to cover that. So we're going to actually talk about War of the Worlds, which came out in 2005, 20 years ago. The Steven Spielberg one with Tom Cruise. And now this is a movie that is a little more divisive with the audience.
I
And
was
I don't
kind of
know what
surprised when I saw that.
I don't know what it is, Craig. We've been talking about early to mid 2000 movies that got good critic scores. Well, I shouldn't say good critic scores for one of them, but the audience doesn't really like it. We talked about Superman Returns. We talked about Jurassic Park 3. So now we're going to be talking about War of the Worlds. And Craig, what did you like about it?
Well, for one, I really like the movie. I know you said this is divisive. I was kind of shocked to read that because I always thought this was considered a good movie.
Yeah, I enjoyed it too. It's pretty good, I think. And we're going to be talking about a lot of the criticisms that the audience levied against it. And it has mostly to do with the kids and the ending. People don't seem to like, even though, which we'll get to in a little bit, but the ending is very true to how it is in the book, which I did not read, but I feel like everybody knows the ending of the book. Everyone's heard about it through osmosis or Wikipedia readings. But Craig,
Yeah.
tell me what you like. What else you like?
I mean, I like most of the movie. I like the action scenes. I like how even the characters, I know it's one of the complaints that the characters aren't inherently good people, but this is not about good people. It's about a random family just surviving this massive alien invasion. They're not evil people. They're not actively trying to hurt people, but they're just, your average people.
Well, if anything, I think what the movie really does, and it's interesting, is that it brings out who people are in general in real life, who they really are when there's these kind of atrocities and when everything is like stripped away from them, how they'll act, and they act like animals. There's the car scene where they're all fighting over the car. One guy, there's a hole in the windshield. He's ripping open the windshield with his bare hands, and blood is coming out. Like when people are pushed to the brink with anything, they just become primordial animals.
Or they go into their baser instincts, right?
It's
That's
the
what people
survival
say.
instincts. Me,
Yeah.
no one else. It's only me.
Yeah, and they say that's why, oh, the kids are bad. They're kids. And Tom Cruise is bad. Sure, he's probably not the best dad in the world, but you see all he goes through to protect his children. I think you can kind of forgive him.
Well, yeah, it's quote unquote realistic because Tom Cruise's character, his name is Ray, but we'll just call him Tom Cruise. He is very unlikable in the beginning, and he's flawed. He's clearly not cut out to be a responsible father, but he's thrust into the situation that no matter how bad things got, he still cared for his kids. And even in the beginning, he did not have the best of intentions when they went to the parents' house. He really did just want to dump them and get them off his chest. But he did everything towards the progression of the movie to protect his kids.
Even some small things, like I said, when he goes to the parents' house, I don't know where that is. It's supposed to be in New Jersey, but he goes to the mom's house. He knows that it's going to be traumatizing to the daughter to see her house destroyed. So he's like, please don't look at the house. Just look at me. Look at me. It's small things like that. He knows his daughter enough where, sure, he doesn't know about the peanut allergy, but he knows enough that seeing her childhood home destroyed is going to be very traumatizing.
And
Granted,
the
the whole thing's
lengths, yeah,
traumatizing.
he does to protect her. The guy underground, he kills him with his bare hands because he's going to give away their location. And then he even said to the guy, he said something along the lines of, "You realize what you were going to make me do, right? I'm going to do anything for my daughter, and you're making this bad." Do
you understand what I'm going to have to do? I can't let my daughter die because of you.
Yeah, and that's something that they don't really, I guess, harp on. Like he says it, you almost miss it if you're like not paying attention.
So I think maybe some of it could have been, or maybe why some people didn't like it too much, is the expectation of it, because maybe they're expecting an Independence Day, let's say, where it's a popcorn, explosions, nonstop explosions, cheesy one-liners, and Jeff Goldblum. But in this one, it's really kind of a dark movie, and it's only focused on one family. We're with the family the whole time. We don't see mass scenes of military experts by computers saying, "Oh, fire everything we've got." It's with Tom Cruise's family the whole time. And it's kind of like
So
Signs in a little bit of a way.
So you mentioned that too. I was reading the production and they said this was kind of supposed to be the opposite of Independence Day. No famous landmarks being destroyed, no focusing on the large cast of characters or any scientists or any of that stuff. It's just kind of the opposite. You don't see any landmarks destroyed, really.
Yeah, everything that the aliens do that we see is with the family. We don't
Yeah.
see them running around and destroying, like you said, landmarks, the Statue of Liberty, blowing up
The
New
White
York
House.
again, the White House, yeah. And I guess
It's very
people wanted human retaliation, like Independence Day, where they fight back, but we don't really see that because it's futile. Though the whole thing with these aliens in the movies is that it's futile fighting them because they're unbeatable on the surface, you know?
yeah, and the thing that takes them out is the one thing they wouldn't have expected.
It's nature that beats them, not all of our highly advanced technology. And that was kind of the theme of the book, which will tie into how people don't like the ending, but that's the point of the book. It was about imperialism, I believe, British imperialism, right? And
Well,
how Britain was the largest empire and they were more technologically advanced than most nations. So that's why H.G. Wells flipped that, and what if the most advanced civilization of the late 1890s, they were now the inferior one.
which is why people complain about not taking place in England, but that kind of ties into the theme of the book if it taking place in America in the 2000s.
Oh
Sorry,
yeah,
not
yeah.
sorry.
Well, yeah, it takes place during this time. And another thing that this movie does that obviously the book never could do is that this is an allegory for 9/11.
A
So,
little bit, yeah.
no, I wouldn't say a little bit. I think it's pretty obvious.
Well, the story is still the same. It
No,
was
yeah,
written
the story
before.
is the same, but with the characters and how they react to the aliens. Robbie, a lot of people don't like him, but it makes sense looking at it through the 9/11 lens because he is one of those people that, I mean, I guess you could say they were rightfully angry and they're upset and they wanted to get back.
We catch up with these soldiers, hook up with whoever else isn't dead, and we get back at them.
So he was the kind of person that would enlist to join the Iraq War. And even then in the movie, it shows how he joins all this. He's angry. He wants to get back. And then immediately his platoon or battalion, whatever you call it, that he joins, he just get blown up. And I guess you could say that shows that even during the time of the Iraq War, that it was an endless, meaningless. There was no end to it, and it was futile to join. Is what I'm trying
Well,
to say.
yeah, yeah, you're
Putting
right.
it very, very mildly without any other saying anything else. But
I just meant there is that with the son character, but also it still keeps the point of the original book where the fight was hopeless.
oh yeah, yeah, yeah. But I think at least for this, I like that they have those little allegories for this movie at least because Spielberg specifically and deliberately had everything kind of from the on the ground level when all the action's happening. So when the alien breaks out and is shooting its laser beams at people and disintegrating them, it's all from where Ray is and he has to look up the whole time. Kind of
Yeah,
like he
there's
said, he paralleled it to the news footage of 9/11 when the towers were collapsing.
yeah, because you barely see the aliens. You only see them for two scenes when they go into the house real quick, and then at the end when it's dead.
I believe the tripod design is closer to the book than the 1953 movie, which I did see, but I saw it years ago. They had
I don't
saucers
know
in
what it
that
looks
movie.
like.
They had
Oh,
saucers. They looked like manta rays, actually.
oh,
In
really?
in the
Let me look it
movie,
up real
yeah.
quick.
Yeah. And fun fact, too,
Oh,
the
yeah.
grandparents at the end of this movie were the two stars of the original 53 movie.
I saw that, but at the same time, I've never seen the movie, so I don't even know who to look for.
Well, also with the one from the 50s, that was like a typical 1950s sci-fi movie where it's mostly with scientists and the government trying to figure out what to do. But this one, like I said, it just stays with the family the whole time. We don't see any kind of board meeting. We don't see any kind of the president says to start the doomsday clock. None of that. It's just with Ray and really with Rachel the whole time. And a lot of people don't like her too, but I don't know what they were expecting. She's a kid that's thrusted into the situation. She's not going to be having kind of monologues and dialogues about human life or whatever. She's a kid.
The tragedy of war and imperialism.
If anything, you feel more for the father having to carry her throughout the whole movie. Because what can she do? She's not going to stop the aliens. She's not going to offer insight. She's a dumb kid.
Even then, it's probably incredibly traumatic for her. You
Yes.
see everything he does to protect her, try to keep her at the very least sane in the situation. And not seeing the house. You see that when she gets abducted, she's almost like she got shell shock. Like I just got abducted by an alien, about to have my blood drained from me.
Yeah.
My father just killed some guy.
And going back to the point of Tom Cruise's character not being a good father but trying is when he doesn't know any lullabies to sing to Rachel to go to sleep. So he starts singing something else. I don't remember what it was.
I
But
don't
he
know the
didn't know.
song either.
Yeah, but the point was he didn't know any of the typical lullabies. He's like, I don't know that one, Rach. I don't know.
Sorry, Rach. I don't know that one either.
And he sees all sad.
Yeah.
Like I said, it's very different than most of these sort of alien invasion movies, which is, I think, part of the reason why I like it. It doesn't say subvert your expectations because it doesn't really do that. It just doesn't do what other movies typically do.
Yeah, you barely see the aliens. The aliens don't wrap themselves around somebody and communicate what their plans are to the president. They don't do that. Because I think what works for this movie is that it plays it straight the entire time. Independence Day is one where they try to set up stakes, but then there's goofy character moments. It's a popcorn movie, but this isn't. This plays it straight. It's very serious. It's very dark at points. There's no jokes. There's only some levity in the beginning, but once all the aliens happen, there's no jokes. Everything is just dark, and seeing humanity at their seeing people at the brink is just disappointing yet realistic.
But again, you see some sprinkles of the good of people, like that couple that was trying to save Rachel. She's like, "Oh,
Oh
my
yeah,
dad's
yeah.
there."
Even Robbie too. You're trying to help people onto the ship, onto the ferry.
Yeah, it's a very difficult situation for everybody. But I've always liked this movie. A lot of the criticism, I don't even know what they're talking about, to be honest. I feel like we saw different movies.
Again, I think it's maybe the expectations of what people had. They probably were expecting Independence Day, but then when they saw this, they're like, "Where's the goofy one-liners and where's the jets firing at missiles and some guy saying, 'Hello, I'm back.' Where's that?"
Because I think Independence Day came out before both of us were born, so I never saw it until as an adult. But I saw this when I was young, and it was very
Yeah.
scary too when
Oh
you're
yeah.
younger.
Oh, 100%. Because
And even like,
it's serious and it's not jokey. And I think this is the one instances where you can play it straight and have it be more darker than usual than like other sci-fi movies. I'm
'cause
pointing my
even
finger at Zack Snyder.
because I was even thinking about the tripods when it first comes up. We hear like the noise, like the blaring horn. That it always plays. And then I remember first time you hear it, it's like that's kind of ominous. And later in the movie, every time you hear it, like, oh God, they're coming.
Yeah.
It's not just one of them too. It's like a whole squadron of them.
Well, that was a terrifying scene. Imagine being Tom Cruise's character when the news lady is showing you footage. He thought there was one, and then he sees like 8 or 9 in a
Yeah,
frame.
leveling a city.
And he's like, "Oh my God." But he doesn't say it like that. He says it with actual terror in his voice.
Yeah, like this is for real.
If that was Independence Day, someone would have said, "Oh my God." They would have taken off their glasses.
I was thinking about the jokes you said too. There's a couple of jokes, and mainly in the beginning, right? When Robbie's saying, "Where are they from? Like, are they terrorists?"
No,
Robbie.
yeah, not from
Like,
Europe.
like from Europe. No, Robbie, not like Europe.
No, Robbie, not like Europe!
Or when they're having the baseball catch and Robbie's being a jerk and he just lets the ball go into his house and breaks a window.
Yeah.
Man, what a jerk.
And maybe you
Or-
could say, how does Oh, you go, because I'm going to change the subject.
And there's one more thing when I know it's not funny, but I've always got a weird chuckle at me when he's trying to make the sandwich. He has peanut butter, so he's just plopping peanut butter into the bread, and then he gets so mad because then the money he just throws it out the window and it sees it like sliding down.
I was going to say, I know people don't like that Robbie survived. And I guess that's maybe the only, in a story that's very serious, that's the only quote unquote filmy thing.
Questionable.
Yeah, filmy, questionable, like Hollywood ending that the son survives.
Because I mean that he survived, but he survives and is at the house.
Yeah.
If he survived and maybe he was with the army that they retreated.
I think the problem honestly it is a great scene when Robbie says like let me go, and then and in the background is just the military firing everything they got, and nothing is happening. I think maybe if they edited it a little better, where they held on longer to the shots, where it's not as soon as Robbie runs up and then there's this huge explosion and the tripod rises out. Maybe if they made it more ambiguous of his fate at that point, like don't have him run up immediately and then have it blow up.
Yeah, because look like he died immediately.
Yeah. But like I said, it's a really great scene. But
Well, yeah, and you
maybe
got him yelling, and then you got the daughter about to be taken by some strangers. Obviously not in a bad way. They were trying to protect her. So
Oh,
he,
yeah.
he had a very difficult choice to make.
And like I said, Robbie wanted this. He wanted to serve because that's what he believes in. He believes in fighting back. Much like I said, the 9/11 parallel. Much like the people who wanted to serve to get back and fight for the country.
It's a very good scene. That's why when people talk about how much they don't like this movie, I'm always so shocked that I've always loved this movie. It's definitely one of my all-time favorites.
Because I've seen people say in the comments, at least on IMDb user reviews, that they say, oh, the first 2 acts are great, but then the rest, when they go into the underground with the guy, I forget his name. It's like Orville or something crazy. Oh, it's Harlan Ogilvy. Ogilvy. Yeah.
Yeah, oof. I mean, I remember thinking that as a kid too, but as I rewatched it, I actually still like the scenes in the basement. Like with the whole scene with the little camera coming down, inspecting everything, and it's a very tense scene. Hope not to get caught by the camera. And of course, then the aliens come back down too, so they have to hide even like harder now.
Well, the best part also of that scene too is Harlan going crazy and trying to shoot the aliens, and Tom Cruise has to grab it, and they're trying to be as
Yeah,
quiet as
that's
possible, but they're fighting over the gun. I know the Harlan guy was definitely suffering from survivor's guilt and PTSD, but what a crazy guy. He's like, let's dig tunnels, and I think in the book that was a big part of it, where they were digging tunnels or trying to dig tunnels. I know that was like a plot beat of the book.
under London, I guess, or by London.
Yeah, I don't remember. I remember a while ago I read the synopsis on Wikipedia.
I don't know my London geography, so I could be wrong.
But yeah, I just don't really seem to understand a lot of. Now, is it a perfect movie? No, but people act like this is the worst thing, and obviously everyone's hyperbolic, everyone exaggerates. But
Well, I remember looking online and seeing like this is one of Spielberg's most controversial movies, one of Spielberg's worst movies. It's like, really? I can't say I've seen every movie he's made, but I thought this was on the higher end of it. Maybe it's not Jurassic Park or Indiana Jones level, but I still think it's pretty good.
oh, I enjoyed it a lot because I know you've been wanting to talk about this movie for a while on this program.
Yeah, and I saw this horrible movie came out. I was like, well, I guess this is the perfect time to talk about. Let's talk about the good version.
And to initiate this war of the worlds to save us all.
Yeah, because I can't even imagine what. Well, if anyone doesn't know, the new one takes place entirely on a computer screen. So it's just Ice Cube reacting to footage of the attacks on his computer.
To be honest, I remember that was a recent thing, what, like 10 years ago, that kind of, I know movies used to have like the found footage and they moved on to entirely on computer screens. I can't
Yeah.
do that. I'm tapping out. Found footage, it can still look like real life on a computer screen. I'm tapping out. I won't watch a movie like that anymore. I can't stand it. The computer screen gimmick, it does not resonate with me at all. And you probably could say, well, it should. We are in that generation. I can't stand it. Maybe because I'm in that generation, I can't stand the computer screen stuff.
Why I feel like when they say generation, that's like the newer end of the generation. I don't know, because we didn't grow up like that.
We
were
had
alive.
computers though.
We were alive for a while when this 2005 one came out. We were alive. I think I saw it on DVD. I didn't see it in the theaters. And
Yeah, I
then
think we did.
they would always show this movie on TNT, if that's still a channel. I don't know. I don't have cable. But I remember for a while, like every weekend or every other weekend, they would show this on TNT. We know drama.
I don't know if this was a production choice or they just happened to pick this particular part of the country. But Colin, have you probably heard of the famous War of the Worlds radio broadcast?
Of course, I've seen the area, the plaque.
Oh, you've been there?
Yeah, I've seen it.
Okay, I've not been there. But the point is, there was a radio broadcast where they said the aliens landed in somewhere in New Jersey. I think it was by Princeton.
Mhm.
Okay, and people thought that
It has
the
happening
aliens were
for
actually
real.
landing. Yeah. Although I think there were conflicting reports about how many people actually believed it. I think the media sensationalized it a bit because that's what they do. I can't imagine people actually thought there were aliens right outside their house and they could look outside and not see it.
Well,
But-
I think, yeah, it was Orson Welles who did it. And I'm wondering, I'm pretty sure I read somewhere that he would, well, it's the radio, you couldn't rewind, but he would say at the beginning of the broadcast, this is a dramatization of whatever, of the H.G. Wells work. And people would tune in at different points, and it's probably the dummies who thought it was the news at the time, the NBCs or whatever they had in 1938, and they're like, "Oh my God, this news report's saying there's a giant saucer landing."
Because I looked online and the media tends to sensationalize things, and I was looking like there's no way that many people actually believe that, and there seems to be some truth that the media kind of sensationalized. Like maybe one person thought it was happening, like, oh my God, they're really aliens, and like, no, ma'am, it's just a radio broadcast.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure there was a couple of dummies, but yeah.
It's a fun little, I guess, footnote in history. And the reason why I mentioned this is because I think it's kind of funny, but also bulk of the movie, not bulk, but a good chunk of the movie takes place in New Jersey. And I know I looked up the geography. That's closer by Princeton, wherever this happened.
They're like
It's
in
West
Bayonne
Windsor.
in the movie.
Yeah, they're basically by outside New York City. So still in the same state, but kind of funny that maybe is that why they chose New Jersey? I have no idea.
Maybe it's a tax credit. Did you know, Craig? I looked online. This movie had 10 months from start to finish. It was done in 10 months. They had
Wow.
3 months of prep, and I think that it said they had 72 days of filming. So that's
It's
about
pretty quick.
2 months and a half. Yeah, 2 months and a half about.
Really?
And
Wow.
they did all of their action-heavy set pieces with lots of CGI first. They did it all in the beginning so they could have time to do all those VFX sequences so they weren't rushing towards the end. And it all looks good. The CGI looks amazing. And I'm curious on how they did the one shot where the houses are blowing up when Ray and the kids are in the van, when they first get the van, and the aliens shoot the bridge, and the bridge falls over, and like a couple oil tankers fall, and they blow up the whole house area. That looks great. And this is 20 years ago. You compare that, right? And then you compare Red Hulk grabbing Captain America's wings.
I'll only say the CGI, I think, falls off a bit at the end. I think when the tripod, it's sick and it falls through a building, it tends to not look good towards the end. But like you said, the beginning is great.
Yes. The whole staging of the beginning with the alien rising out of the ground, the build up, all great. It is all so amazing. It's so well done.
There's no dumb person trying to let me talk to the aliens. Maybe they're peaceful. No, it immediately starts vaporizing every single person they can see.
Yeah, if this is Independence Day, someone would go up to the crater and do the Vulcan sign. Hello, fellow alien. And then
I'm
just
an
get
empath.
vaporized. Yeah.
Let me go talk to it, like Deanna Troy.
The alien is feeling
Counselor Troy.
anger.
I know you haven't seen The Next Generation, but it's always funny when Counselor Troy's on the bridge.
I've seen a couple episodes so far. I'm getting through it.
Yeah, when she's on the bridge, she goes, Captain, I sense some hostility towards me, like they're firing at them.
Ray, I'm sensing anger towards us. And they're just vaporizing everybody.
And none of that schlock. That to me is why I like this movie a lot. It's almost the opposite of these awful movies.
Yeah, and you mentioned the ending, and again, a lot of people don't like the ending, but that is how it is in the book. They didn't embellish or change the ending, because I guess people wanted Tom Cruise to stop the aliens, but he doesn't. It's nature that beats the aliens.
And it's the tiniest thing you would imagine. People say, oh, it's not realistic. How could they have not
I think
thought
that's
about
actually pretty
disease?
realistic, honestly.
I mean, people make mistakes. You act like every person... It's the flaw when people watch movies, they, with the benefit of hindsight, rewatching it several times, they go, why didn't they think of this? Like, well, would you have thought of that? You act like you're this super advanced, intelligent race. You're some dumb guy watching videos on YouTube. Like, of course, you're not going to understand, think of everything.
Yeah, you're
Why
some
would they?
guy watching CinemaSins on YouTube where they nitpick everything to death. It's not like, remember in Mission Impossible? Dead Reckoning Part 1. The entity could perfectly detail and anticipate every kind of possibility. It's not like that. These are fallible creatures. They can't 100% think everything through. Even though you would like them to, probably you'd like anybody to think it through, but they can't.
And we don't know anything about them to say if they could have made the right decision or not. Maybe they come from a planet where there are no diseases, so they never would have thought about it.
Yeah. It's like that dumb argument. We'll get back to War of the Worlds in a second. This is just a slight tangent. It's the dumb argument I always see about the movie Signs. Why would aliens, they would fly down to a planet that's 75% water? They said very subtly at the end, one guy on the radio, he says they weren't coming for the planet. They were coming for us.
Poisoned this family. They dragged them away. Nobody believes me, but they didn't come here for our planet. This is a raid. They came here for us, to harvest us.
That's why they chose Earth. They were harvesting people. Why would they go to a planet with weakness? It's not the point.
I mean, this one, if you couldn't understand that in science, you don't understand it here. I think you might have a comprehension problem. This was even more obvious. You see them sucking the blood out of people.
Yeah, the
and
red
eating
weed.
them.
Yeah, that's pretty haunting when he's like touching the weed and it was like all blood, and then he puts his hand out and there's all blood. Then he goes to the guy and there's just blood all over his face.
Ray!
Ray!
I guess speaking of the aliens, what'd you think about their design?
I think they look fine. I think they look good.
Yeah, I thought they were fine. Although I saw a description from the book and maybe a little outdated, or not outdated, maybe a bit more stereotypical, but I do kind of like the book design a bit more. Not that it's a really big
What does it
nitpick.
look like in the book?
So in the book, they were talking about how these aliens have become so advanced that they lost most of their muscle mass, and they're basically just giant brains with like eyes, a beak, and some like tentacle hands.
Really?
It's a bit more grotesque to look at.
Huh.
But then when you get the scene of them coming down to the basement, but I kind of like their book design, a little more grotesque.
Yeah.
And
But
because
these
they're
things were
basically
pretty
just floating.
skinny too. These things weren't like the Hulk.
Yeah.
They're pretty skinny, disgusting creatures.
And I think they said too, because they were just essentially big brains with appendages, they didn't really need typical food nutrition. They just wanted the blood of people. So that's why they were getting their blood.
But I know in the
Again.
book they have the tripods, though. The tripods don't exactly look like... Because the tripods in this movie look identical to the actual aliens. They even the same head shape
Which
is
I
the
think
aliens.
makes sense.
But I think the tripods in the book they look like barrels with the legs. I don't know. I think I might have saw either H.G. Wells draw it, or it was on the cover of the book, or an artist drew it for him. Yeah.
Yeah, because I know in the book too, they said these giant cylinders came down, like were protecting the aliens before they were ready to attack. So people knew about the attacks a little before they actually started attacking. Again, never read the book. I could be completely wrong, but I remember seeing something about cylinders coming down first with the aliens, and then the
Hmm.
tripods would come out of them.
I'm interesting on the timeline of discovering and understanding germs. I'm sure they knew about it in the late 1890s, but it's not as nearly as informational as it is now. So the fact that he thought of that in the 1890s, I don't know, that's pretty cool.
Well, when did germ theory really come into it? Was in the 18th, 19, it was in the 1800s, right?
I have
Was it
no idea.
Louis Pasteur?
I have no idea. I would just think it's interesting that he was able to come up with a way to how the aliens get beaten is not what you would expect.
Well, to his credit, I think germ theory might have been relatively new at the time, newish, so probably could have been on the mind. People maybe were more, not aware of it, but more on the mind. Now, for us, it's just a way of life. We know about germs. We don't even think about it most of the time
Yeah, it's
because it's
true.
so obvious. For them, maybe it's like, wow, these like giant microscopic things are killing me.
Well, it's like that thing where if one of us or people from regular civilization go to one of those totally remote area, we could accidentally kill them by just being there, right?
Well, that was what I think the conquistadors, when they came to the New World, they brought animals and they were immune to some of the diseases from the animals, but the Aztecs and the other people
Well,
weren't.
I was talking about now, but yeah, that works too. Maybe that was his inspiration. Reading about the conquistadors, just killing those people with their germs and discussing diseases.
Well, I think it was from the animals too. I mean, I know about the history of germ theory in the New World.
So, Craig, this has been about a 30-minute glaze fest. What are some things you don't like,
Honestly, not
if
much.
any?
It's you could say maybe the ending with Robbie surviving
Yeah.
because he it looks like he pretty much dies the moment he joins the fight. Like you were saying, if they edit that a bit better, where maybe he survives or could run off in a military jeep to fight another day,
Yeah,
or
as
you
long
said
as
leave it ambiguous where maybe he's not
yeah.
fully dead.
Maybe don't show a giant explosion as soon as he runs in. Maybe don't do that.
And three tripods rising up, so or maybe actually just kill him off. It'd be kind of tragic, but because in this instance, I feel like it's definitely more extreme. You feel
Yes.
the bigger anger, and you can see why people would be more willing to fight an alien invasion at the threat of your very existence. Is that threats? I mean, not just Europe, but the entire world's existence is that threat. So I could see why people would be more willing to join. To either join or when you get wiped out.
Yeah.
As far as you're aware of it when you made the decision.
Yeah.
I don't know. I
I don't
just
think
think
like you. I don't really have any besides Robbie. I don't really have any other kind of normal complaints.
I thought it was a really good movie, and it's just kind of weird to see people dissing on it. Like
Yeah.
people were complaining that the aliens had shields. That's not really fair.
That's the
Well,
point. That's the point.
well, because in the book they didn't have invisible shield. I think the British army was fighting back, but not successfully. But they could damage the things.
I think, again, I didn't read the books. I don't know the whole context of those attacks. I think it's better that everyone is just utterly hopeless, that there's nothing they can do to stop them. And that, again, that was also the point of the book, is that they're just this all other being that can't be stopped.
Yeah, and although I did like the scene at the end of the movie where you see the one like the tripods are sick and I guess they're dying, and you see the one with the birds and Tom Cruise, look at the birds.
Yeah.
I know it's not silly, but I like when Tom Cruise like, look at the birds.
Did they have a scene earlier that the birds were trying to land on the thing, on the aliens?
I don't think so, but you can see that the shield was down,
No, I know that was the point, but I'm
Yeah.
wondering, maybe if they had a tiny scene earlier on.
like the birds running into it. Like I was thinking of signs where you see birds like flying in the sky and they hit the invisible UFO and just start dropping dead.
Yeah. Well, that was actually a deleted scene in Signs. I saw a whole slew of deleted scenes on YouTube. The family is driving through the back roads of Pennsylvania, and as they're driving by a road, you just see a bird's head crushed.
Oh,
But maybe if there's a scene earlier where, well, it'd be kind of hard because they're moving constantly, but the birds are trying to land on the tripods, but they can't. They're landing on the shield. Or like you said, they're flying into it. But I guess in the audience's eye, you already know there's a shield because you've seen multiple instances, such as Ray throwing a grenade and it hits the shield. So maybe that was their logic, where the audience can see it, that there's a shield.
yeah, and also if the tripod's by you, I'm not sure the birds that they're moving. I don't think birds would want to try to land on it as much.
Yeah.
Plus, I don't know, they're so threatening. I don't think the character would be around that.
Yeah. So I could see maybe that's why they didn't have that specific kind of scene where the birds are directly on the shield of the tripod, because we got the grenade scene later on in the movie.
You know, such a good movie. I don't know. This is why we have so much slop now. People don't like these kinds of movies.
It's Spielberg. He knows how to direct a movie, because this is directed so well, this movie. All of the human perspective action shots are just amazing. Makes you feel like you're there on the ground.
Yeah, like everything's so good. I mean, I could say, okay, maybe the basement isn't as exciting, but I think everything from the tripods rising up and attacking, you see the airplane landing and all the destruction.
Yeah, the movie definitely slows down a little bit in the basement, but I think up until that point, it kind of needed to slow down because so much happened up until that point.
Yeah.
There needed to be a brief moment for everyone to just breathe because we just got that whole action sequence where what's his name, Robbie decides to join the army and then it just gets blown up.
I mean, even a simple scene like I said with the car, everyone's trying to steal the car from them. No
That's a great
CGI,
scene too. Yeah, that's a great scene.
no aliens, just people in a hopeless apocalyptic scenario just trying to fight for the car.
Yeah, and that guy who robbed the car from Tom Cruise gets capped. He gets shot like 5 times.
Oh yeah, I forgot to mention
that
too.
guy was brutal. Shot him 5 times.
I like the shot too where
you think he's dead yet?
Well, I like it too. You see him pick up the gun thinking, okay, I guess he's probably going to do something bad with it, but you actually show it, I guess not directly. You see in the background of the diner, but you see him shoot the guy 5 times.
Yeah.
How brutal.
I think also what's really cool, or a really cool scene, was Tom Cruise explaining what was happening to Robbie in the van. And it kept on going through the windows of the car while I was driving. I thought that was really well done.
Yeah, it's very tense because he's like, I have no idea what's going on. You think I have any idea?
And I think it's good that the aliens are a little ambiguous. They're not really Martians. We don't know. They didn't come from Mars that we know of.
Well, that's what I saw a complaint to in the book. I think people said, oh, it must be Martians coming to kill us. Like some scientists figured it out, but we have no idea what their motivation. Well, they didn't explicitly tell us what their motivation was, and we don't know where they're from, but they've been playing this for a very long time.
Yeah, it says in the book that they're Martians. They had a plot to take over the world. But here it's more ambiguous on what they are and where they came from. I guess you could say maybe it's Mars because, I don't know, the red look of the blood they harvest and they're planting it all over the area. I don't know. It doesn't matter at the end of the day, but...
Like I said, I know that was a complaint. People were upset that it wasn't explicitly Martians, but I still think it works. Doesn't matter if they're What does it matter if they're Martians from Venus, from Jupiter, from a million bajillion light years away? Doesn't matter. They're
Is
coming
Martians
to kill you.
a term that's only for Mars? Or does that just refer to aliens?
Well, it's Mars, right?
That's what I
from
thought.
Mars.
Yeah, so who cares? Just call them aliens. Who cares?
I don't know. People, I guess, are upset they're not from Mars specifically. But you have to remember, this was written in 1890 something. We had not been to the moon yet. Yeah, we have not been to the moon yet. Like, people knew nothing about space compared to what they do now. So being from Mars, like, okay, we know our telescopes can see a lot of Mars. We know it's abandoned. Here, when the book was written, they probably knew it was abandoned. They still had telescopes, but not to the degree that we had. So there was a thought of maybe there are things on Mars. Maybe there's things on the moon. We don't know for certain.
Yeah.
No, we know for certain. It's not going to be as exciting.
They didn't have rovers terraining and going around Mars. They didn't have that.
Yeah, we didn't put people on the moon yet. 'Cause I think he wrote a book about people going to the moon. I think there were aliens on the moon too, but we know that's not true.
He did a lot of books. The Invisible Man, he did.
Time Machine?
Yeah, Time Machine. Is he the one that invented the word time machine or created that plot device?
Probably.
Impressive. Very nice. Now, Craig, here comes the part of the episode where I talk about how I'd like to see an adaptation of the novel that's accurate, because I think I'd be curious to see that. Like a strict, not Ice Cube on a computer screen, or
This War of the Worlds to save us all.
some of the other attempts at War of the Worlds, because it is in the public domain. There's one with C. Thomas Howell that was on the Sci-Fi Channel years and years ago. But again, I would just like to see H.G. Wells' work strictly adapted for the big screen. And it's no slight against this. I think this is a great adaptation of it, but that's what it is. Not loose, but a modern adaptation. I want to see in the 1890s setting with the nameless narrator, I think his name. I don't even think he has a name. It's just the nameless narrator. I want to see the tripod design. That's all I want. I'd be curious to see that.
I remember seeing, I think the BBC had a production of it, but I think people said it was pretty bad. So I don't know. I think people have tried to do what you're suggesting, but I don't know if it was done well.
Is it safe to say that this is the best adaptation of the book, the Tom Cruise one?
It's the best one I've seen.
Because maybe people could argue that the 1950s one is the best, but that's more of a sci-fi, like 50s. And if anyone's ever seen 50s sci-fi movies, it's mostly just talking. It's mostly just people in a lab talking. And it has the beats of the book with the ending and the aliens. But I think this, at its core, is more similar and more in spirit to the book than the rest of the stuff. Maybe you
Again, I
could
haven't
argue
read the
Ice
book, so I
Cube
can't
too.
say for certain, but
And neither can I. I'm speculating. Maybe we'll get an angry
yeah.
comment. Oh, the '50s one's the most accurate. Again, didn't read the book. This is just what I'm assuming and what general knowledge I know of said book.
Well, to your point, as much as I would like to see it as well, would anyone really care?
No. My ideas of seeing these movies and seeing these books as what they should be would make no money. Who'd want to see an accurate Jaws book that has nothing to do with John Williams' score or Steven Spielberg's direction? Or who'd want to see Jurassic Park, how Michael Crichton wrote it with no John Williams music and no Spielberg charm? Those wouldn't make, my ideas wouldn't make money. I'm aware of that. I'm just saying for myself, I'd be curious to see how it's supposed to be and not have any of the kind of the deviations that most movies make when adapting a book. You would like
Well,
to see
I've
the
said-
Lord of the Rings as it is
Yes.
as a book.
Well, my point with this is I think it's hard for people to understand the impact of the book in late 18th century or 19th century England, where adapting it to now where it kind of takes place in modern day in America, now the world's superpower. I feel like it has the same effect of the original book, even though if it's not a direct adaptation. But having one that's a direct adaptation, I think would lose some of the impact because we don't look at it as Britain at the same way as you did over 100 years ago.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
But I would still like to see it just for the sake of it.
Would people nowadays even understand, like kids, TikTok kids, would they even understand the allegory of and references of 9/11 that is in this movie? Would that just go over their heads?
I saw something. I mean, I have a hard time believing this is true, but I've seen reports where these kids who grew up on TikTok Gen Alpha or Gen Beta, they can't read in the third person. Like, there's no way that's true. But if it is true, I'm very scared.
Read in the
for the
third
future.
person? They can't do that?
I've seen reports that people can't do that, so it's kind of scary.
Oh my god. Well, we were alive during 9/11, so I guess if anyone's listening, they could gauge maybe how old we are, but
I mean,
were
not saying we
alive and
remember all
well.
that well, but we were
Yeah,
alive.
We were alive. We didn't have to learn about it in a history class. We lived it. Because I think that's what they're doing now. And maybe that's a sign everyone's getting old, is that they're teaching 9/11 in schools now. But there's that one scene where when Tom Cruise comes back, he has all the dust on him. That was a direct reference to the people who are running on the ground. They were just, during the towers collapsing, they were just covered in dust.
So it's not people, at least it's building.
Well, yeah, that was the disturbing, disgusting part, that is just human remains on him. And there's also definitely debris because like a bunch of buildings are blowing up behind him.
Yeah.
I kind of like, real quick before we wrap it up, I like the one scene of the guy filming on the camcorder, and then it kills him. He drops the camcorder, and then we push in on the LCD screen. I thought that was really cool.
Actually, I saw a complaint about that particular shot.
Why? That's a great shot. That's a classic Spielberg shot.
People were saying, actually, that camera should have been EMP'd.
Oh yeah, I guess, but it's a movie. It's a movie.
I wouldn't have thought about that because who cares? It's about the story, and it's a very good shot, like you
It's a
said.
very good visual. I thought they were going to say that the high intensity of the light, the bloom, would have not registered too well on the camera, and everything
Or
would
the screen would have cracked.
Yeah, or oh no, I think it would have been able to survive that fall,
Well, maybe it cracks, but
my point is, I'm surprised they didn't point out that it'd be too bright for the camera sensor to handle, so it would look terrible on the LCD screen.
do you think these people know anything who complain online?
No, I don't think so, but that's how I would interpret it. It was just it'd be too bright for the, and those cameras, those are camcorders, those are terrible. I mean, granted, that's what the best they had at the time, but those things do terrible even in regular light.
Well, it's funny you brought that up because I don't know if cameras to even think about that, but it's funny you bring that up and these people are like, actually,
Yeah, the
that would have been
EMP,
EMP'd.
yeah.
Actually,
Would it though, or are they saying it should have been EMP'd earlier?
it should have been EMP'd earlier because everything stopped working. But that's not really how if you have batteries out, it could. I don't know about the camera. I'm not going to pretend that maybe it should have automatically been destroyed.
Well, okay,
Doesn't
let's talk
matter.
about how the car was driving. That's because they replaced the battery, right?
Well, it's so EMPs, they fry the electronics, but it has to be working from what I remember.
Well,
If you have
no.
the battery taken out, I'm pretty sure it works.
Yeah, I'm just talking about in the logic of the movie because they have the only van because I guess by the time the EMP hit, they were replacing the battery. And that's a new battery that was unaffected. That's my headcanon. I think that was the explanation.
Well, he said solenoid, and I don't know where that's in the car.
Sure, I'll take the movie's explanation, but I don't know. Who cares about the camera working? Who cares? It doesn't matter. It's a cool visual. It's a classic Spielberg shot. It's great.
Okay, so the solenoid is between the motor and the transmission. All right, easy. Point is, yeah, it doesn't really matter.
I
It was
think
unaffected by the EMP.
the one last thing I will say, our last tangent. I think people in general have gotten so used to the CinemaSins, the very nitpicky critiques. There are things to critique about on any movie, from, you know, directions, lines, scripts, lighting, the whole list of things that you are valid complaints that any professional and anyone would acknowledge. But when you're just nitpicking the most minute of things that have no relevance on the story whatsoever, or just nitpicking other little small things, you're just a clown, honestly. It's just, those are people who have never worked on any kind of set or movies where there are hundreds and hundreds of moving parts, and everyone has to go to the director for approval and everything, and they're always, whoever the director is, they're always getting burdened by everything, and it's very high stress. So all the nitpicking stuff they don't know how the movies are made and how it works, and they're clowns. CinemaSins is a clown. He ruined, or I don't think it's just one guy, they ruined movie criticism, because now everyone's like, well, why isn't that way and that way, and why isn't it doing that? It has nothing to do with the movie. That's my tangent.
I agree with that. Well, I want to add to your tangent because that's kind of nitpicking, which isn't criticism. You're just pointing out very minor, almost flaws that don't really affect the overall product, if you even want to call them flaws. And people who get upset that characters don't act like a robot in every single situation in the movie. You know, people are emotional. I always hate well, actually, in this scene, you should have known that the alien tripod was there, and you should have done this instead of that. Why did people run in a panic? They should know that it's got a heat ray, you know, and all that stuff. Like, people actually talk like this.
I know they
review
do.
Movies like that.
I know.
I've seen them, and like, I don't know how these people have fans. It's so obnoxious. That to me is a plot hole.
Yeah, again, I don't want to confuse. There are actual criticisms you could have with a movie, like its story.
Yes,
There's a
yes.
gaping plot hole. Yes. Criticize it for that. Talk about it. Make fun of it. Sure, whatever. But don't just, why is his watch on backwards in this scene and the next scene is facing the other way? That stuff means nothing. That doesn't affect the movie at all.
Oh, like, why did Tom Cruise not have food in his apartment? Oh, I'm actually, he should have had this in his apartment. Why did Robbie only not grab the food like he asked?
Because he said there was nothing really in the kitchen to show that he's kind of not a good parent. And he's not really a good
When he
adult.
calmly explained to his kids exactly what's happening, why was he freaking out? It's like, oh, gee, if you saw aliens, would you be acting in a robotic way too?
Yeah, would you be thinking rationally if you just saw a bunch of people disintegrate in front of you, and then you have to run away and buildings, you just hear buildings exploding behind you? You think you could react rationally to that? God, these people get me so annoyed. I'm so pressed over here.
We should be happy he had the wherewithal to go back home and rescue his kids instead of booking it.
Yeah. Rachel who? You could just run away.
I don't have kids. What are you talking about?
That's right, I'm a bad father. I'm leaving.
Yes, he could have left them, but he chose not to.
Yeah, but I digress, Craig. Well, do you have any other final thoughts about War of the Worlds 2005?
No, it's legitimately one of my favorite movies of all time. I really like it.
Yeah.
I think it's even better now as I'm rewatching it.
Yeah, it's pretty good. I like it a lot too. And I don't know, maybe Craig will flip the switch one day and we'll do a movie from the early 2000s or mid 2000s that the audience like, but we don't like. Because like I said, we did Jurassic Park 3, we did Superman Returns, and now we did War of the Worlds.
People try to say, is it nostalgic? I don't really think it's nostalgia. I think I would have liked it if it came out today.
Yeah.
But we digress.
Yeah, I like it too. I recommend it. You probably recommend it too, Craig.
Of course.
I think even the people who don't like this movie, Craig, I think everyone can agree this is better than the Ice Cube one, which isn't saying much, but that's a fact.
Oh, have you heard of the critic is it Armand White?
No.
Okay, well,
Is he the guy that unironically likes it?
well, there's this reviewer that I always see. He's basically a contrarian. Every movie that you like, he doesn't like. Every movie that people don't like, he seems to like. I always see people joking, like every time a movie comes out, he always seems to have the exact opposite opinion of what you would expect. I think he praises the Snyder movies and like hates James Gunn. He seems to be a huge contrarian. I've actually never heard of him.
Maybe I have in passing.
He might be the one guy who prefers the Ice Cube one over this one.
Oh my god. But with all that being said, this has been the Unbiased Opinion, where everyone's opinion is biased except ours. I'm Colin.
I'm Europe.
And we will see you next time.
Brother!